Rainier Avenue Radio.
Struggling to pay your mortgage? If you lost a family member to COVID-19, you may be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. Call 1-877-894-4663 now, or visit washingtonhaf.org. That's washingtonhaf.org. Because losing a loved one does not have to mean losing your home.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, all day Saturday.
This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue.
Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Start Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pierce.
This is Start Time.
Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour, A-Fox Nightmare.
Looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the Fox.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in the group.
Myself, D-Money.
Honey Size Patron.
Taylor Hart.
Resistencia, the Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina. Chad Cheddar. Northwest Rat Gang.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell her who we talking.
Sea Monster Radio, Mo Jams, it's your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojo Mondays. This is KZ of KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojo Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration. Music all day and all night. Saturdays on RainierAvenueRadio.org.
PrEP is a daily pill that can significantly reduce your chances of getting HIV, and typically it takes a trip to a physician to get it. Now you can visit select pharmacies, get tested on the spot, and walk away with your first month of PrEP. It's easier than ever to protect yourself from HIV, and with all the coverage options, you can get it at a very low cost. To find your nearest participating pharmacy, go to doh.wa.gov/PrEP now. That's doh.wa.gov/PrEP. Do it now. This is a message from the Washington State Department of Health and Public Health, Seattle and King County.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Well, hello there, world. Bettina Carey here, and I am the founder and CEO of We Empower You, the global community, and WeEmpowerYourLife.com, the website. And I'm so excited to be on Rainier Avenue Radio live each and every Thursday. For those of you who are new to us, I'm your host and founder. And there's a loud noise there. Did you hear it? That's a ferry coming in here in Seattle. So for those of you who are new to us, I'm your host and founder of We Empower You. And it's an online community of like-minded people and a global empowerment movement designed for coaches and entrepreneurs. And I want everyone, and that includes entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, mentors, thought leaders, and service-based business owners to break through to multiple six figures in their income. My goal is to leave a lasting legacy behind and impact the world by supporting, helping grow small businesses and to scale them to new heights. I'm pleased to be welcoming today Marcella Arieta. Born in Queens, New York City in 1973 and raised in Manchester, New Hampshire, she relocated to Tucson, Arizona, where she lives in 2007 for continuation of study of Wing Chun Gung Fu. That's a mouthful. Marcella has been studying Wing Chun Gung Fu for 23 years and considers herself a teacher of martial arts, healing and guiding folks who desire to have a balance in their life. As advisor, creator of the Angel Balance Method, she believes that people have the answers inside of themselves for balance and equilibrium of their health and expression of living their most fulfilled life. And she acts as their guide to ensure they listen to that inner voice inside. And her goal is to impact lives and individuals, families, and children by connecting them with their unique gifts that they all were meant to express here in the world. Welcome to the show here, Marcella.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction. That was fantastic, Bettina. Glad to be here.
Oh, yes. Other than my little fairy sound, I'm still trying to get used to my environment. And I thought for a second there that Daniel was giving me a horn sound. But every time the fairy comes in, just about the same time that the show starts, there's a fairy sound. Or maybe the neighbor gardener is out there gardening and weeding. So I have a little scheduling conflict with those kinds of exercises.
Well, yeah, on my end, I couldn't hear any of it on my end.
Oh, good.
And so fairies around is always a good sign.
Yes.
So
tell us a little bit about what got you started into this martial arts and this passion that you have for helping people with their balance and balancing their lives.
It's interesting when I think about, the practice that I got into with Wing Chun Gung Fu was really for myself. I was just at this crossroads. I had been disc jockeying for a long time, and that was like one of my first passions. And then I was just looking for something different, and I had a few circumstances that were coming my way in life, and I ended up going to this martial arts school. And, that's where I met my first teacher in New Hampshire, Mark Noel. And that set me on the path of personal development for myself. And it wasn't until I got to Arizona in 2007 that things started to expand more as far as what I would like to give to the world. And I would say starting in about 2011, I started working for myself, working with the public in regards to body work. And it's just been expanding. I became a teacher of bodywork, a teacher of Wing Chun. And the more and more I spend time with people, I really feel it in my heart and soul that I'm just wishing people to have the most connected life that they could have. And so I just have a real love for people and their excellence and self-love for themselves.
And, this is a way of life for you, right? It started off with one thing, martial arts, but then it evolves into how you live in the world, what you eat, what you put in your body, how you nourish yourself, all of the things that everybody seems to want, but most people forget how to do it, right? You do believe that we all have that inner voice inside of us that is speaking to us on a regular basis saying, you need to take a nap. Stop doing this right now. Go chill out for a little bit. Make yourself the top priority. Don't leave yourself off the list. All of these little nagging voices. And then most people are just batting those away going, oh, I'll get to it in a minute, and then of course, what ends up happening is they have an impact on their health, right? If you stress a lot and you don't balance your life, it can show up in a health issue, whether that be a digestive issue. It could be a physical issue. And I would even go so far as to say it can sometimes show up as cancers and heart disease and other diseases that we know we don't want to have anything to do with. So this dis-ease is really what you're playing into, right? You've got some really incredible stories. Let's start off with a story about somebody that you're working with right now and give us an example of what you're doing with her.
Sure. So I'll give an example. We'll call her Mary, and she's one person that I've worked with, and she's very powerful. She has a business, family, relationship, all of these things. But one thing that she's experiencing all the time is feeling like she's never enough for any one of these things. From the person that she loves, never enough time for them, to the idea of not having the balance with the kids and her lifestyle. And it was just causing a lot of a burnout and a lot of stress. And so one of the things that we worked with Mary was really creating some time mastery and some blocks of time that she was going to consistently have for herself. And so we kind of got into her story as far as what's optimal for her. When did she like to get up? When did she like to eat? What type of traveling does she does for her business? What are things that she can implement that are going to just impact her performance? And she was so thrilled by the whole experience. She's like, I can't believe this, just taking a peek at my own life and my own needs and using the wonderful tech that we have, say Apple Calendar. She started just creating all this rainbow of block time for herself, and it was really helping her with her performance. And
I
also
love that, a rainbow of blocked time. Now that is a quotable moment, right? So you're helping her to really define what she does with her time. just
Absolutely.
based on her level of interest in her family, in her own personal development, in her relationship with her loved ones, including her perhaps spouse. So those are the kinds of things that you're working with, folks. What are typically the symptoms? Like you talked about, she was experiencing burnout. What is burnout? How does it show up in people's lives?
It always feels like you're behind in everything that you're doing. Your ability to relax is less and less. There can be issues in regards to sleep, a lot of forgetfulness for things that are tasks you would like to do. And it just turns into this cycle and turns into a lot of personal frustration in wanting to handle so many things and feeling like it's all falling apart around you. So those are some of the things that came up with Christina. Also, it depends what people come in for. And so if they have pain, then there is an assessment that I do with people, because I do help people with that as well. But for her, it was primarily fatigue, stress, not being able to let go of the stress when she would get home from her days, and just feeling like she was just on a hamster wheel of life, and
Probably not getting much sleep, I would imagine.
Not enough, definitely not enough. And it was just really the balance of time, always the stress of being behind, always feeling in control of all the variables outside your life, instead of getting back to those places where we're in control of everything that we choose to do and engage in, and starting to look at life in that manner with whatever we choose to do.
When you shared this story with me earlier this week for our planning, you also talked a little bit about that you have tools and they have tools, and together you're using both sets of tools. Give us an example of tools that you share, and then maybe some examples of tools that she might have had that she was not using.
Absolutely. And so, yes, I have about like 24 or 25 different tools of things that I can offer to people. The first thing that I get into with people is their story and interests of what they would like. And so with Christina, one interest that she did have with me was doing breath work, and also doing Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is a Chinese martial arts that's about 400 years old and created by a woman. And so she always had interest in that. So we set up block times for her to be practicing this every week on top of online breathwork sessions. As we started to work more, one of the most beautiful things that came out about Christina is that she loves to sing. Mary, is that she loves to sing. And so by the end of it, the one thing that was a component of her package, we went on a nice camping trip afterwards. So just after all that hard work that she had put into this practice for 3 months, and she just started singing at the fire, and she had realized that she's like, oh my goodness, I haven't sang in years, or played music in years. And so it's really just bringing her back to some of these incredible gifts and talents that she has. And she's walking away from this with more song in her life, and making more time for these creative expressions that she has, on top of having a very successful business.
That's great. Now, was she an example of somebody that you work with directly in person or online?
So she was a combination of both. She lives in Arizona, so I did work with her in person as well as online. But I do work with people solely online.
What does that look like?
Well, so with that, it's kind of the same things, as far as like, we create an assessment first to see what's really on the table for the person, and what is it that they're really looking to have balance with. And then we start to create a schedule. I'd like to create the schedule for the entire length of the program, so it's already on there, and there's a less of a chance of something getting in the way of it. And then I do online breath work. I'll do online stretching sessions with people, writing exercises, live sessions where we just communicate as what their daily practice is today, what are the things that are coming up for today. And I also provide a toolbox for them to have for themselves, so that they're writing about this journey as they're going through it.
Fantastic. So whether you're working with you online, or whether I'm working with you in person, or a combination thereof, you've got some options. So how can folks get a hold of you? Before we get too much further through the interview, I want to make sure we get your phone number out there.
Okay. Well, yeah. When if you're giving, the year of when I was born, that if you do the math, I'm still a little old school here, so I still love getting on the phone and talking to people. So the best way to get a hold of me is going to be to call me at 520-443-1190. That is the fastest way to get a hold of me, and I'm very responsive with that.
Great. So either text or call, and that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
And I would love to talk a little bit about your angel of balance, as you call it, the AOB. And you're really, the goal there is to help folks to look for the answers inside of themselves, to give their lives a little bit more equilibrium and full expression of what they came here to be. Right. So you've come up with a package that you're going to share with us today, and tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, today I decided to make a very special package. So this is a 21-day package called Restore with Angel of Balance. So if anyone has interest in that, they can call me. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a wonderful conversation about your life and one thing in regards to your health that you would like to restore. And then we're going to make a commitment for that for 21 days.
Oh, fantastic. So if I want to restore my belly to when I was in high school, I could use 21 days maybe to do sit-ups or something. In my case, that's actually part of my plan, is get not restored to 20s, but get back a little bit more of that firmness that I'd love to see in my stomach area.
Absolutely. So like when people have goals that may involve some exercise, since I'm certified in corrective exercise, I do take an intake and an eval, and I try to come up with things that are going to be really approachable. I work with people that are busy. And so when we talk about time, time is a very priceless thing that we have, and you don't get it back when you lose it. And so I try to create things for people that are going to be very approachable and get results, and it be something that they can manage with their schedule.
Yes. Give us another example of somebody that you've worked with, whether it be in person or online or a combination thereof.
Absolutely. And so another person that I've worked with, we're going to call her Ellie. Ellie came to me with just a lot of stress. And so the thing with Ellie that was the most interesting, and she's very gifted, was just really some of the belief systems that she had acquired for herself. And so as we would start to go into the journey into herself, she started to really see like, wow, this is the way that I'm communicating to myself on a regular basis here. And she started to really start to question and reframe some of these belief systems that she had been carrying with herself, so that she could really amplify and see all the gifts and tools that she had available to her. So she's interesting. The ages that I work with vary. I've worked with 19-year-olds, 40s, 50s, and your 30s. And the one thing that's very unique about most of the people that tend to work with me is that at some point, they're all very gentle souls, very powerful. At some point in their life, they kind of lost their voice. And so when you start getting back into those conversations with yourself, it's just restoring that voice within and sitting with themselves. But that's one unique thing that I notice that stands out about everybody that works with me.
You're speaking my language. I mean, kicking those self-limiting beliefs to the curb permanently so that you can have a more positive attitude and more positive voice, if it's going to be a voice in your head. So
Yes.
you do also some breath work, right, with folks?
I do. So again, I do assessments with people for any of the things that I offer that are physical. I noticed that, I don't know if it's the Western paradigm, but everybody expects themselves to know everything without ever doing it. So people put a lot of pressure on themselves with just about everything. First, when I start with any breath work, it's just breathing in and out naturally and getting in tune with that. Because when you start to do that, you may have one breath that's quite large as far as how much oxygen you take in, and the other one might be shallow, and all is allowed when you're developing the breath. And so what I encourage people is to sit with themselves in their own breath before they start to do any different types of breath work variation. So there's no pressure or too much expectation result than just connection with themselves.
Fantastic. Now we know you don't play favorites with your clients, but you probably have a favorite outcome that you like to see when folks are working with you. Give us a story around that.
My most favorite thing, that is the most important thing to me when I work with anybody, is that restoration of a personal practice towards themselves, utilizing some of the tools that I have, or awakening the tools that they've had inside themselves, or exploring new things. But it's the continuation for the practice. And so with studying Wing Chun Kung Fu, it's a deep personal practice inward. So I've done that for 23 years. And so those are the things that are the most challenging for people, is to create a consistent practice. And so that's my highest intention with working.
I love it. Now, for folks who don't have any interest in martial arts, or even in particular your type, what can they be involved with you?
Well, there's a lot of different things. Again, that's why I do the intake. And when people first are introduced to me, we have a conversation, and it's all about them. So we can see what's really on the table. Sometimes people come in and they already have things that they're interested in doing, or have fallen out of practice. And so all of that happens in a conversation first, to see whether or not what it is that I have is a good fit, and what is really on the table. And then we go from there.
So I can think of a few people that might be interested in what you're doing. How can folks get started? And you talk about this assessment that you do. I'm sure you're qualified in a number of areas to make sure that you're providing the right service.
Absolutely.
Give us an idea of what that looks like.
So now, depending on whether it is, actually I do this for whether or not it's online or in person, I do take a physical intake. So this just has to do with whether or not they've had any injuries, if they're on any medications, what's going on in their life right now. Are they having any physical pain? Just so we can see what's going on here. We have to understand whether or not there's some type of injury going on in the body. Is it coming from the mind? And is that what's causing discomfort in the body? So I have them fill out like a 3-sheet form, and just get a pretty decent health intake. And then I go from there, as far as having a conversation with them and reviewing everything to make sure that I'm clear on the information that they're giving me. And then we go from there.
That must be a big eye opener to folks, at least from my vantage point. Anytime I go to fill out a form or look at how I rate on anything, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to pay more attention to this. It's almost like doing a little bit of a survey on yourself, right? Including how much do I even remember of all of this stuff that you might be asking. As I age, I keep having to go back to charts and go like, when was that year?
Oh, it's a lot to remember. It's interesting when people actually go back into their story, they start to remember a lot of different things that they might have experienced. So one thing is that I really do have a lot of patience for people, and there's nothing more that I like doing than speaking to people about their story. So I think one of my biggest gifts with working with people is my gift of intuition and care. And so it just allows people to be comfortable to talk about whatever it is that's on the table for them. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm loving the work that you're doing. And let's talk a little bit about you. I know from talking with you in the past that you have a bigger vision that drives you. You really want to leave an impact on the world as you live your life here. You've got some big dreams to develop property and to bring some retreats into the fold. Where did all that come from?
One of my greatest pieces that I have within myself is when I spend any time in nature. I could have the most stressful day, or, how life is. And then all of a sudden I could see like a grasshopper, and then my life changes. I know what's important, which is the planet. So I have a real love for sustainability and supporting any projects that are looking at our environments and for people to connect with them. So I bought some land. And I grew up in the city. I bought some land, 37 acres in Northeast Arizona. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing? But really, my goal is to bring back biodiversity to that area. So learning that area in the high desert and thinking of some ways to support the environment, and also encouraging other people to get connected to their environment. Wherever you live, know what the trees are, know what's on the earth, know about the soil, know about the history of the land. And so that's another component that's huge in my heart and that I'm working towards. And I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you're a whole person, so we got to talk about all the stuff that's good inside of you.
Thank
We're
you.
running a little bit out of time now, so go ahead and give your number out one more time and just tell a little bit about your package. We've got about 1 minute left.
Wonderful. So I just want to thank you for being on this Rainier Radio Avenue show. And my name is Marcella Arieta. My phone number is 520-443-1190. Text or call me, and I can let you know about the 21-day package that is called Restore.
And I think there's going to be lots of people that are going to be interested in this Restore package of yours. Finally, in closing, give us the idea of why you are called the Angel of Balance.
Okay, and so now the angel part really has to do with my intuition when I'm around other people. I'm just that type of person. When people stand next to me, I don't have to know them. They connect with me and they want to share with me. Whatever it is that I have to say is going to send them on their way in a place of joy. And so it happens to me all the time when I connect with people. And then again, my strong intuition that comes forward when I spend any length of time with somebody. So that is the reason for that. The balance, I would say, comes from, my practice of Wing Chun for 23 years. So Sifu Augustine Feng and his teachings have really helped me to find balance within my whole life. And so that's where that name comes from.
Great. Thank you so much. And I am here to say that we are running out of time. So we'll have to have you come back, right? And talk a little bit more about some success stories. Our next show coming up, by the way, at 2 p.m. is Women's Empowerment Talk Radio, episode 52. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Marcella. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. Be sure to comment and share our show with others. We're on RainierAvenueRadio.world. We'll see you next week. Bye for now, everybody. Coaching is a noble profession, but in these current tumultuous times, so many talented coaches are finding that they simply cannot connect with people that they could be helping. And people need our help more than ever these days. That is why I conceived the We Empower You Global Community and Global Virtual Summit. I'm Bettina Carey, and I'm inviting you to join with some of the world's leading empowerment coaches, trainers, authors, mentors, and thought leaders for our upcoming We Empower You Global Virtual Summit. There's an old adage and saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It is in that spirit of togetherness that we aim to help connect more talented coaches to the people that they might help. Join us for free and share your knowledge in this Find Wealth by Giving endeavor. And there isn't a hidden fee or big sales pitch at the end. You will be shoulder to shoulder with some of the world's best thought leaders, newsmakers, and game changers. And you will see for yourself exactly what the We Empower You global community and membership is all about. It's a blend of altruism and business, to be sure. This endeavor is audacious, and we hope to plant seeds that take deep roots. So we need you. If you have a goal of helping others reach and achieve that next rung, if your work aids in lifting people out of self-limiting beliefs, if you're ready to fix the world one client at a time or spread your message to the masses, you're welcome to join us for our We Empower You Global Summit. Tickets are free, but RSVP is required. Scan the QR code if you're watching on TV, or go to our website at weempoweryourlife.com and click on the Summit Tickets tab to get more information and to claim your free Zoom admission ticket. We empower you. Together we will go far.